Going live. Okay, never mind. That should be it. Now we're live.
Okay. Are we live? How live are we, though?
I don't think I'm very live at all.
You're barely living.
It's not that bad. It's not that bad.
I can definitely relate. I mean, I had it last week, so. Hi, everybody. We are finally live.
Yeah, sorry about that. I don't feel well. And when we do this remote, it's different. There's different buttons. There's a couple buttons to push that I don't normally have to push. But let's see. I guess we can hear everything. I can turn it up a little bit because you're not here today with me.
Hey. Okay, fine. That's fair.
Okay. Well, here we are.
Are you drinking today? Are you just gonna be sick?
I've been having some honey tea. Earlier in some meetings, which in my house means a hot toddy. So I've already had just a skosh, just a little bit. Yeah, I'm gonna sip a little bit. I don't know how that'll go, but we're here. We're excited. Thanks everybody for the patience. Sorry about that. I would say that it took longer because Dan wasn't here to help me, but truth is, he doesn't usually help all that much.
I drink your alcohol. I feel like that's pretty helpful.
Yes, absolutely. Today, we won't get to drink together, but we'll drink some stuff. Mm-hmm. And just a quick little preview. It's new bike day for me. Well, it was a couple of days ago. And I know most of y'all don't care about bikes, but Dan and I do, and so does Larry. So I brought my bike upstairs to show people. It's quite lovely.
Yeah, you should tell them why you have a new bike, because I think they might want to follow along with that. That's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, so a long time ago, I used to be reasonably fit, not pro athlete fit, but for a regular enthusiast sort of weekend warrior person. And I loved riding bikes. Larry and I rode bikes all over North Alabama and Southern Tennessee together. And then I moved to Colorado, the home of cycling in the U.S., and I stopped riding, which is really weird because my friend Dan, he likes to ride.
I do that.
And then the thing that happened that usually happens when you stop your exercise, I got a little fluffy. In fact, Melissa and I were just talking about it. We're both a little fluffier than 5.5 years ago when we moved to Colorado. So I've come up with a plan. Dan's going to help me. It's called Rebuild Mark. And we're going to rebuild me into a cyclist by throwing me into an event that at the moment I could not even get to the first checkpoint of. It's an event called Unbound Gravel in Kansas, 200 miles on dirt and gravel unimproved roads. And we'll see what happens. And so part of that was a really cool bike company in Golden, Colorado, liked the idea and decided to play along. And so they provided said beautiful bike for me to do this thing on. And we picked it up. Was it Tuesday, Dan? We went and picked that up in Golden?
Sure. That sounds right.
Which is probably when I got sick. It was that.
You're welcome.
I don't think it was you. I think it was that mealy-looking person in the bar we went to after.
Yeah.
They looked kind of shady to me.
That was also me.
Well, whatever. Anyway, that's the idea. So Rebuild Mark. We've recorded a little bit of stuff, and everybody will follow along. And thank you, Kathy. You wouldn't make it to the start line. I may not either, but we're going to find out. I have a history of doing these ridiculous things and suffering through it, but hopefully I don't have to suffer so much. But it's 200 miles, and it's just going to hurt either way. Also, Dan, I went and found some friends in the results from years past, people that I rode with for years, so I can relate to them. And you're right. It's going to be a tough one.
Well, if you guys want to watch Mark rebuild himself, you can follow along. He's going to be doing a whole video series on it. And while he suffers, I'll be drinking. So that's my part in the video series. But you could see all the updates. You can find that at dancavallari.substack.com. I'll put that link below, or sgfrs.cc. So you can watch Mark rebuild himself and watch me drink some more, which I feel like is a fair deal.
Well, I'm going to drink a little too along the way. I'm not going to stop drinking just because of that.
Fair enough.
Speaking of drinking, what are you drinking?
I've been on a bottle kill kick lately, and so I was started with this, but I just moved on to some Blantons since I was here, and I haven't sipped any in a while, so now I'm on to Blantons. What are you sipping besides a hot toddy?
Nothing yet. Let's see. And the chances of me getting the pour cam turned on consistently without you here to remind me are pretty slim. I pulled Wild Turkey products out generally. So I'm gonna I'm gonna start bourbon since you're bourbon, and I'll start with some rare breed.
Okay. Kathy actually started with some Wild Turkey 101 rye today, so
nice. Well, there's a reason I pulled out the Wild Turkey products.
Yeah.
If everybody remembers, a while back, I don't remember what we were doing, but one Friday we were talking about Wild Turkey products, and we got to talking about the single Rickhouse Russell's Reserve bourbon, and I'm pretty sure I said something to the effect of $250 is just way too much money. I am not paying that. But I'm also pretty sure I snuck in at the end, given the chance I can't be trusted. Guess what?
Yeah.
I got the chance and I couldn't be trusted. I haven't gone to pick it up yet, but I did pay I will pay when I get there, the $250 for Russell's Reserve single Rickhouse bourbon, Warehouse C. I don't know enough about all the warehouses. I'm kind of excited about drinking. I gotta say.
Well, excited to drink it too. That's mostly because I didn't pay for it.
Well, that's the benefit of having whiskey. That's the friends with benefits as it relates to whiskey is drinking each other.
Yes. Well, that to me is going to be an interesting one, and I think I'll save some of the Russell's 13 just to make sure we have some to taste it side by side. We also have I don't know where I put it.
We got a Hazel's store pick. Russell's. Yeah.
So those will all be interesting to. It's up there somewhere. To taste side by side. And I think we talk. My wife was like, "Well, doesn't that kind of defeat the purpose of the practical part of your live stream?" I said, "Well, no, because we can compare it to the bottles that we have that are not god awful expensive, and see what the comparison is. I mean, and a lot of times we've come to the conclusion that in a lot of these cases, these expensive bottles just don't make sense.
Yeah. So we're doing it for you guys.
Yeah. This is a public service.
It's a public service. And I also think it's practical from the standpoint that with the first release of that Russell's 13, the whiskey geeks in the secondary market started to pay more attention to Wild Turkey products.
Yeah.
So, the Russell's 13 goes for $400 or $500 on the secondary. I haven't even looked at this single Rickhouse, but I'm betting it's in the $800 range.
Probably.
So when you can buy one at retail, I think that's somewhat practical. It's not practical from a dollar standpoint, but in relation to what those whiskeys cost when you just can't get them in a store at retail, there's some practical part. I'm going with that and sticking with
it. You tell yourself what you got to tell yourself.
Yeah.
Well, I do think it would have been a good choice for us for one of our whiskey nights because with these expensive bottles, if you want to try them, it's always best to just split it with friends, the cost and the bottle.
Yeah, I agree. It would have been nice to be in for, $80 instead of $250 or $85 instead of $250. On the other hand, we get to drink all of it.
We do.
Yeah.
I say we.
I said we.
Okay, good. As long as you said it first.
Yeah. Did I mention I got a new bike?
Yeah. I'm excited for that too. But whiskey. Well, so we should also mention that in lieu of drinking the Russell's single Rickhouse at our next whiskey night, which was supposed to be tomorrow, but everybody got sick. I was sick last week. My wife's sick this week. Mark is sick now. We figured it was best to delay, so we're delaying it till next week. But we have a plan, I think. Well, look out.
Sorry.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
If I forgot where the cough was so dramatic.
At least it hit the cough button.
Yeah. No, you didn't.
I didn't?
No. I got it full in the ear, man. It was great.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I turned that off before that happened. Apologies.
No. No, it was wonderful. As I was saying, sorry, I shouldn't be making fun of you. I was doing the same thing last week. In lieu of the $250 bottle of Russell's Reserve, we do have a plan for our next whiskey night, which is I think I told you guys that at my local, well, one of my local liquor stores that I shop frequently, basically every 3 months or so, I get what they would term a rare bottle. This one is the one I just picked up, which is the Booker's Kentucky Tea batch, which has been getting just a ton of good reviews. We're Booker's homers as it is, so we tend to like Booker's anyway. But our favorite batch goes back to last April for my birthday. Mark and Jacob bought me a bottle of Booker's, and it was the Bardstown batch. And the three of us agreed, hands down, it has been the best batch of Booker's we've ever had. So it sounds like we're going to be sipping the Bardstown, which you have another bottle of.
I do.
Again, and I guess what have you read about the Kentucky tea? Because I actually haven't read a lot about it. You're the one that says that it's got a lot of good reviews. Is it just what we would do is just drool yummy, or is there specific notes?
No, most of these whiskey sites, they get a little more detail than we do. And for the same reason, I don't try and do those detail things about taste and shoe polish and all that nonsense. I also don't read a lot of that, but I read the headlines, and it seems uniformly the whiskey community is in love with the Kentucky tea batch.
Okay.
And I think it's fun because, I think I bought my first bottle of Booker's in 2013 or 14. I'm not sure. But none of them have ever been bad. They're all really good. But some of them it's just crazy how good they are.
Yeah.
And I haven't saved any of them, so I don't know that it matters then. But I think it's fun how we've been doing this, where we have a current favorite. We try and obtain as many of them as we can. And then 3 or 4 or 5 batches later, there's one that's even better. And it's fun to compare those together. And I think that'll be fun with this one.
Because yours was Teresa's batch, right?
Yeah, I had Teresa's batch. And before I do that, because Eric may have to go. Yes, Eric, thank you for the medical advice. The gloves, although we're social distance, Dan's 16 miles away from me.
Yeah.
My wife may be in trouble. But
I got sprayed with your cough just now.
I'm sorry. I really thought I turned the sound off. Maybe it's the delay part that's the problem. Anyway,
good effort.
It's fun to do that, to try those different ones out.
Yeah.
And I think it helps from a practical standpoint, as we were talking about that. One of my goals this year is just like 2022. I'd like to end the year with less bottles in the closet. So I don't want to get hung up on them. I want to open them up. And I got hung up on that Kentucky Owl Batch 1 rye. So buying another bottle of that and drinking it kind of put me back on the right path of opening these bottles.
Yeah, I've been on a bottle kill for sure lately, and like I said, I got this Eagle Rare almost done, and actually, so the Kentucky Owl Batch 3 is not going to be long for this world on my shelf.
No, I've been going to that weekly.
Yeah, it's good. At first, I felt bad, like I was drinking all these high-end bottles that were expensive that you and I either split or shared or whatever. And I was like, well, screw it. Well, this is what we bought them for, And so, my wife's been working through the Heaven Hill bottled and bond, and I'm like, I have enough bottles. Let's start enjoying them. And I don't know if it's just the time of year or what, but I just feel like it's time to kind of call out some bottles and crack them open and enthusiastically, we'll say.
Look at my pretty bike while I go get something.
I don't even see. Where is your bike? I don't even see it. I see your stairway. Is your bike in the shot?
Yeah, it should be. You don't see that?
No, I see the side of your face. We got an angled shot of you.
I wonder if something's different. How could you have an angled shot at me?
Yeah, I don't know. Is there a camera to your left?
No, there's a camera to my right.
Or to your right. Maybe you're reversed.
But you can't. You shouldn't be able to see me in that, other than that hand right there.
Nope. I see you. I see your left ear or right ear. I'm not sure which one it is. I see the top of an old Fitzgerald bottle, by the way, which we could talk about.
See, nothing
Um,
changes. Nothing changes
nope,
when I do that.
nope. Kathy, what are you trying to empty? What do you got? You have a low shelf that we're trying to get through over the next month. Does that mean that's like just like Fireball? Or like what's on the low shelf? I want to know. Um, yeah, I think for me it's just redundant bottles. Like I have 3 bottles of Eagle Rare. What am I doing with 3 bottles of Eagle Rare? I don't even drink it all that much. So yeah, I've been kind of killing bottles, and as you can all see, there's aplenty. I'm not in a rush to get through those. I feel like I got a good stock, and I'll pull those out, every once in a while. Kathy, okay, I know. I would never assume you have Fireball on your shelf. I was just joking. I hope I didn't offend you. But what are you trying to get through? What are y'all trying to get through? I mean, what's your next bottle kill? I guess is the question. Mark,
Uh,
what are you closest to finishing?
I want. I figured out what's going on.
Hmm.
So it's just using the camera on my computer.
Ah,
There's my pretty bike.
ooh, there she is. Yep, pretty bike.
If I can restart it, but then it'll interrupt the stream.
So Kathy says she's got some Irish, Scotch, rye, and bourbon. Yeah, that sounds like a good mix. I've actually got some. I wonder how much of this. Oh, you know what? This Ardbeg, Mark, we could do some damage to this pretty soon.
I finished my Lefroy 16 the other day.
Did
Lefroy
you?
10 the other day.
Before I did. I've got a pretty healthy stock of. Whoa! I just dropped my Lefroy
-1.
10. Let me go see if I broke that. Oh, wait. We're okay. We're okay, guys. It's okay. Hardy bottle. It's stuck. Stuck the landing. Oh my God. My heart just stopped in my chest.
So I don't know what we were talking about, but yeah, I screwed the camera thing up, so it's not even using all these freaking cameras I stopped and set up. But I have this that's not practical. That's the old Fitzgerald 17.
When are you going to crack that?
When I'm not sick, I guess.
Yeah. So you can actually taste it.
Yeah, I can taste it. I can taste, but
Yeah.
it's not the most enjoyable thing at the moment.
What did that bottle cost you?
One 190.
Ooh, ouch. You're a big spender this year. Higher quality, but lower volume.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which, is practical in its own way.
Sure. Well, again, I think it is. I think, on that list I got to choose from for this bottle.
Yeah.
My first picks were all the Pappy stuff.
Right.
And the way that thing works is I get an email. It's got a list. I give them my top 5 from that list. Based on how fast everybody responds, you get whatever order. This was the 7th or 8th bottle on that 10 bottle list. And I was 7 minutes from the time I got the email to the time I replied. So I didn't get any of the Pappies again, or the William LaRue Weller, but that's a 17-year-old. It's an old weeded bourbon, which is what all the Pappy stuff is. So I was pretty happy with it.
Yeah, it's a pretty good bottle. Bender's working on killing a bunch of stuff, but one I'm curious about, Bender, is the Penelope Toasted. That's an MGP, but I'm kind of like re-curious about Toasted Barrel stuff after that Peerless. I thought that was just such a good bottle. So I'm like curious about other, Toasted Barrel, all that kind of stuff. If it's any, if it stands up, and like we've had so many not great Toasted Barrels. I guess I'd be curious to hear what you think of that Penelope. If it's on your kill list, you must have had quite a bit of it. But I'd be curious to hear what you think. The other thing that got me all fired up, Mark. Wait, and I know you're not here in person, so can you hear that? Okay, I slammed my glass down.
Yes.
Tradition matters. Okay.
Sure.
The other thing, it's been since we had a Friday Sips, which is crazy, and that was the sample bottles episode, and I still cannot get over that ridiculous. I shouldn't say ridiculous. The stag. I can't get over it. And so
Yeah.
is another ticking time on today? He's the one that gave us the sample.
I don't
And
think Anthony's here.
okay, so I've got a bottle up here of Stag Junior. It's the 130.2 proof. If anybody wants to look up what batch that is, and Anthony, the one he gave us, had a mystery proof. We can't seem to figure out
Well,
what
I think we
it
figured that
is.
out. So
He did.
he called it 18, but it's
Okay.
actually a store pick.
Oh,
So that's a single barrel Stag store pick.
from what's
That's I don't remember. He told me it was
Huh.
on the label, but
Okay.
I don't remember.
Interesting. I didn't know they did store picks of those.
Yeah, that's a last year or two.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that makes more sense. And it was just not great. I mean, it was okay, but it wasn't great.
I would like to try that with the one you've got.
That's what I'm kind of getting at here. I'm angling at that. So I think maybe in an upcoming episode, that's what we need to do. Because I've always enjoyed the Stag Junior bottles. That was the first one where I was like, I wouldn't buy this. So I don't know. I think that might be our upcoming episode is the Stag versus. See if Anthony has another sample of it, and we can swap samples.
Yeah, we didn't have any of it left after that session,
Yeah.
but we did have some of the Widow Jane and some of the other samples left.
Uh-huh.
And I was curious if somehow the tasting of all those the various whiskeys had thrown something off with us. Curious that it would do it to both of us exactly the same way because we thought almost identical thoughts about it.
Yeah, right.
I went back and the next day, the 2 days later, whatever, I sipped some of those same samples.
Yeah.
They all tasted the same as they did before. So I don't think that was throwing anything off.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's the thing with single barrels, right? I mean, it just could be the person who picked the barrel wasn't our taste.
Yeah.
You
It's
never
just
know.
it wasn't a flavor thing. It was just a mediocre bourbon.
It was. I mean, if it was like a $40 bottle, I'd be like, oh, okay, this is a $40 bottle. But for what Stag fetches and the lore around it, no. But I did kind of feel a little cemented in my my theory that when they had the whole we're not going to do the Stag batch this year, the George T Stag. I feel like they just dumped that in Stag Junior bottles and
I don't think so. I mean, we both had two batches of the real Stag, the George T.
Yeah.
People that say, "Oh, this Stag Junior is as good as any," that's not right.
Right. Well, because we did that episode.
We did, yeah. It's on the channel. We drank them side by side.
Yeah,
we've done that before. Outside of that, there's just this George T Stag is significantly better than any Stag I've ever had.
I agree. At least the ones that we had to compare to. Yeah. And Larry, a question for you: what do you think of that Boulder Spirits bottled and bond? Because that Boulder Spirits has been knocking it out of the park lately. I'm just really thrilled with them as a brand right now, and I'm even more thrilled that they're so close, so that we can actually just go up there and hang out and interview those guys, which we will. But yeah, Boulder Spirits, and I think let's see if we can hook up another sample of that George T Stag and compare it to what I have, and we'll obviously swap samples or.
We'll just get him next time we have Friday Sips here. He lives close to here. Anthony does.
Yeah,
he could just come over and hang out with us.
All right, well, there you go. Done. Yeah, it would be nice to actually do this in person again. It's been far too long. I was coughing like you last week for this. All right,
it's rough.
All right, I'm going to do some more Eagle Rare to continue the kill, as it were.
That's a lot to kill.
Well, as you know, I am adept at the Dan pour. So
that reminds me. I think I told you, but I sent Aaron at Last Cut Crystal a little mock-up of a Glencairn with single, double, and Dan on it.
Can we get that graphic up somehow? So good. Let's see if I can find it.
Yeah,
it's a good one. Yeah, are you going to order some?
Yeah, well, we're working on just getting some glasses for the stream.
For the show.
And then, he can make whatever anybody wants to play along.
So the Dan pour is going to be like right about there. and then like a double.
In my head, because you don't fill the glass up. Like a lot of people fill the glass all the way up. You just pour about 3 or 4 ounces. So that's where I told him I wanted, 1 ounce, 2 ounce, 3 ounce.
Well, but for comic effect, it's got to be like right there. I mean, that's what matters to me is comic effect. Anyway, I think it's great. I think it's gonna be awesome, and I can't wait to drink out of them. Larry, yeah, the Boulder Bottled and Bond, just fantastic. And yeah, I don't know what their distribution situation is right now. I don't think they're nationwide yet.
I think they're close.
Yeah, I know they just started distributing up in Oregon. I just saw like a post about that, so I don't know where they are yet. But yeah, if you guys see that, the Bottled and Bond and the barrel proof or the cash strength that's the bottle to grab if you can. But if you can't, most of their stuff has been really, really solid. Yeah, so Kathy says there's the store in Nashville that carries the Boulder Spirit. So they must be at least reaching pretty far at this point. But that's been a huge, huge, wonderful surprise this year, the Boulder Spirit stuff. All right, so Bender says, wasn't too sure about that Penelope, felt sure gotten marshmallow and honey forward. Ooh. I've really, really enjoyed your lately. So, okay. There's the graphic. Do you guys see it? I love it. I want all of my glasses on my shelf to be that.
And he does have blanks for this glass, the Libby glass.
Yeah.
So we can put it on there.
I love it. Oh, I love it. Yeah, those are cool. We can get it on those glasses?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do that. Those glasses are so just like perfect. They're like they marry my hand. It's
hopefully they don't have Kentucky Bourbon Trail on the bottom, so we can put our phallic logo on the bottom.
Yeah. The practical. Oh, I gotta censor that if I say it. Oh, I love it. We need it. We need these in our lives.
Yeah, well, we'll get them, and he's gonna make us a nice dump glass too that says dump glass on it.
Nice. Can we get a graphic for that? A dump graphic?
How about just the words dump glass?
That's probably smarter. I'm not good at making merch, let's be honest.
I don't know. All right, let's see. So are we gonna drink the Kentucky tea when we're together? Is that the idea?
What do you think? I think we should. I think it would be more fun. What do you guys think? It's always a dangerous question to ask. I don't know. I think it would be more fun to do it side by side. And I can show you the bottle if you want to see the bottle. It's really pretty. What do you think? I mean, because I don't remember what the Bardstown batch tastes like specifically, so I wouldn't really have a direct comparison. Although I do have 10 other bottles of Booker's behind me to which I could compare it.
I'm gonna tell you what. Speaking of practical, what I'd call high-end bottles that are accessible anywhere, any day, as far as I know, at least around here. That's tough to beat, and it's not cheap. It's $75. But oh gosh, that's good. Single barrel rye.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good.
We talked about this. You would choose that over the rare breed rye, right?
Yeah.
What's the price difference? $10, something like that?
Well, this should be 50, maybe 60. But it's frankly around here, it's been pushed up to the same price as the Russells.
Uh-huh.
So it's not, worst case is $15 difference.
Yeah. Okay. Bender says we need to chase after the Heaven Hill, the Bernheim barrel proof wheat whiskey.
Yeah.
A223. I just saw a photo of that. Somebody was cracking that open on Instagram.
I used to buy Bernheim all the time. The one not the barrel proof, obviously, they just did that, but I'm gonna have a little of that back to back and see what I think.
Do it.
I like Bernheim, the wheat whiskey.
Yeah. Is it Burnham or Bernheim? Bernheim.
I don't know how they say it in Kentucky. It may be completely different than how it's spelled.
Yeah. All right. I've never had it. I've never had any Bernheim. So I guess I would need to have a baseline. What's the standard offering Bernheim cost? Is it like an
20
expensive
bucks,
bottle? Yeah,
20,
okay.
25 bucks maybe. I haven't
So
bought
low
it
in
before we moved out here, and it was a $20 bottle.
okay.
And it's not a weeded.
Do a
It's not a
side-by-side.
weeded bourbon. It's wheat whiskey.
Did I read that wrong?
Well, it's not weeded bourbon.
No, he did. He said wheat whiskey. Yeah.
Yeah, it's wheat whiskey.
Mm-hmm. No, I've never had any of it, and I'm not the biggest wheat. Well, I'm not the biggest weeded fan, so I'm not like super excited about it. But I would do it. I would try it. Is this like a bottle that we're gonna have to like be lucky to find?
The
Do you know anything
barrel proof
about it?
one? Probably.
Yeah.
Maybe
Well,
not. I mean, nobody really. I don't know how many people care about a wheat whiskey, but obviously, the Beam Corporation thinks they care, or they wouldn't have done the barrel proof version.
yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. I don't know. I think there's somebody to buy anything that's ridiculously overpriced at this point.
Yeah.
That
I
seems to be
haven't. When the Larceny barrel proof came out, I bought 2 of those. I still have one of them in the cabinet. I haven't had a sip. I drank that bottle. It's pretty good, but I
Yeah.
haven't had another one since. I understand subsequent releases have been better.
I don't know. I don't know about weeded tea and all that because it just doesn't feel like it has enough. It just doesn't have the wow factor, I guess I'm looking for. They tend to be a lot smoother. So just kind of like I always just kind of shrug. That old Fitzgerald though is an exception. I did find that one to be quite interesting.
Yeah,
And
we had the 8, the old Fitzgerald 8. It was
yeah,
really good. I would slot it in above OWA, barely, in
Yeah.
that range. But
yeah,
I'd much rather drink that old Fitz 8 than the Weller 12.
really.
Yeah.
Have you've had the full, right? The Weller Full Proof?
I was really
Or would
drunk
you?
when I had it,
That's right. So you really don't have a good handle on that one.
though. I don't. I remember as the room spun, I remember thinking, that's pretty good.
But then it continued to vaporize away. The spin.
It was a bad night. That was the first really, truly drunk night since the 90s. The 1990s.
Okay.
That's
What are the
bad.
90s? We can't go back that far.
I don't know. I just want to make sure I was clear. That was
You
a
didn't
bad
time
night.
travel.
But it was the first one in 30 years. So
Yeah.
that was during the year of the 100 push-ups a day.
Right.
And I still did them. I was wallering on the floor, moaning and drunk
you
and
think you
pain.
did them. Yeah.
I
You
know.
did them.
No, I did.
Where was Melissa? I need her to take video of
He
that
was
kind of
standing
stuff.
right there, making sure I wasn't dying. There are so many benefits to having a wife that's a nurse.
Mm-hmm.
That,
I seriously would have paid for just like a 5-second clip of that.
No, and funny too. While I was running around sweating trying to get all this stuff set up, that still didn't work, which is very disappointing. She said, "Yeah, it's kind of funny when we first started our relationship together. You would run around on Fridays setting up equipment to play in a bar somewhere, and 30-something years later, here you are, still setting equipment."
Yeah, still doing it. Still doing it. All I had to do was walk over to my laptop and open it.
That's all I had to do to get this. I just didn't think I was getting this. One of the things I changed trying to figure out how to make it work was I stopped and restarted this and lost those settings that I'd already set up.
Foolish.
But that's what happens when you skip a week. You lose practice.
We're definitely muscle memory did not stick with us. Yeah.
No,
although this is different.
Tough.
We don't like. It's hard when we do it remote.
Yeah, it's tough to think about muscle memory because we're drunk when we do this.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I guess I'm not today. It's been a low sipping day. And by the way, reinforced. Any chance you get, if this is $10 or $15 more than this, buy the Russells.
So rare breed rye versus Russells, you're still picking.
And I really like this rare breed rye.
Yeah,
and it's whatever 8 proof points higher. Yeah, this particular one's 8 proof points higher. But the flavors are just much more complex and rich in the Russells.
It's been a good long while since I've had the Russells rye, so I think I'll snag a bottle. I'm convinced.
It's good.
All right, Mark, you look like you need a nap.
I took one already. How come I don't ever take naps? I'm not a nap person. But I slept for about 45 minutes before a meeting today so I could be remotely coherent. That was the best sleep. I mean, how come I don't sleep like that at night?
I love a good nap. Naps are like a fine whiskey, Mark. Cut it.
Okay, yeah, we'll let it go. Thank you, everybody, for putting up with the side of my head when I didn't realize the cameras weren't working correctly. I'm sorry, Larry. I'll send you pictures of my bike since you didn't get to really see it like I thought you were seeing it. I set the whole camera up. It's got a light on it. It's all lit, beautiful.
Well, next week, let's do this in person. No getting sick. None of you get sick. We can't have any more sicknesses. Next week we will be sipping side by side.
There you go. Cheers. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.